Hi, I'm Zach, and today we're going to show you how to squat in order to fix your knee pain. Now, before we squat, again, you have to do the hip program like we've talked about in other videos. Get your hips to a certain level, take the knee pain off by really training the glutes, the adductor chain, then you can go into squat. Before we go into the squat technique, I'm going to show you a testimonial from one of my clients that I fixed with severe knee pain.
For 10 years, I worked with a ton of doctors, probably 10 to 15 of them. No one can fix me. Two shoulders were bad, hip bad, knee bad. And since I've been working with them, now I can, it's crazy. Instead, I couldn't even walk. I couldn't walk down a hill. I couldn't even do a air squat. I couldn't even do anything. And yet I'm 54 years old and I just went to almost 225 and 3 sets of 10 and my leg strength's there. I mean, my whole body's changed. At this point, I'm a functional 54-year-old with no pain.
So today I'm going to talk about the box squat, and this is one I like to do in my athletic bodybuilding program as well, but I do it slightly different for sports training versus athletic bodybuilding. Both can be used for both things, but this is going to be a little bit more quad focused. You're also going to get the glute, but it depends how you sit back in the box. But today, because I've already done so many box squats videos, and we're going to put the links at the end, I'm just going to focus on a more of a bodybuilding style squat. I still like using the box. The box is great because it's safer and it's harder if you do it right, because you have to really control the bottom piece. You can't just blast up and bounce down and use your stretch reflex. So I prefer it. Secondly, it's a little bit easier on the knees long term because you're not, again, bouncing with a heavy weight. You always have a little bit of buffer at the bottom. So one of the things, the first thing I'm going to do is I'm just going to check our depth. If we're bodybuilding, and sports training, I want to be more at a 90-degree angle from here. For sports training, I might have her go ahead and stand up. For sports training, go ahead down a little lower. For sports training, and I'm going to have her sit back on the box a little bit more. For sports training, because I want them to pull from their hamstrings, I have them sit back on the box and then they pull with their hamstrings as they stand up. But with sports training, I like having the knee more the center of the knee with the center of the hip. For bodybuilding, go ahead and stand up. I like either going, go ahead down. I like having this top piece of the hip here, the top of the quad here, a little bit below the knee line, or if you're just starting out with clients, you can have them, go ahead and stand up, back down. You can have them, right, so this is right at parallel with the floor. But for her, go ahead, or I can go even lower, go ahead, go a little bit lower, or I can have her go really low. The lower you go ahead and stand up. If you're trying to work the quads, if you go super low, and especially in a squat position with the barbell, you're actually going to get a lot of glutes going to take away from your quads. If you're focused on quads, I would say just go to 90 degrees or just slightly below. You're still going to get a lot of glute activation in that position, but the lower you go, you're going to have a tendency to really use those glutes at the bottom. All right, so go ahead and just sit on the box. So when she sits, if we're doing a bodybuilding style, she's only going to put 20% of pressure onto the box with her butt, and she's going to keep her quads flexed at the bottom. Go ahead. Down. No, just and up. And down. Keep it flexed. Yeah, yes, and up. So the whole time you're keeping the quads engaged. When I train an athlete, now just come down, and I sit back, and now up, fire up. When I train an athlete, I do it more like West Side style. So I have them actually kind of sit back more and then pull with the hamstrings and glute, go up, okay, rack. So that's more of a sports training style, more for power. I still cycle both with an athlete because they need to get good at all positions, but when I'm training an athlete, that's my main foundation exercise to get them really strong in, and then I can mix in front squats later on, or I can mix in where they come up on their toes and maybe, different style squats like this, but the main base for sports training is always going to be, I like sitting back in the box. That's where I've seen athletes get the strongest. And then as they get good at that, I'll go into other style squats. What's awesome too is when you really teach this bodybuilding style squat, if you want to take the box away, some cycles with an athlete, whether in their sports training or whether they're bodybuilding, you'll take the box away for a cycle, and now their form is going to be absolutely exquisite. Go ahead, down and up. Look at how nice that form is. I mean, that's perfect. And you want to feel like your knees are pushing out. You want to feel like the pressure is on the outside of your knees when you're going up and down. You want to use your glutes. Obviously, we're trying to get the quads when we bodybuild, but for form, over long term, and also just for overall health, you want to push out and you want to get those glutes working. Okay, rest. I would say just go shoulder width where it's comfortable. Can you, once you get good at this, could you vary it and go more narrow? Focus on a different piece of the quads, of course. But for your base foundation, where you're comfortable, where it feels good, where there's no impingement in your hip, that's where you want to go to. Then you can always get it more narrow. Going super wide, I would watch that. That can be, long-term, it's going to be hard on the hips. I've seen some of my athletes where we would squat them wide, and I would tell them, like, look, this West Side style like this, eventually you're going to have hip problems when you're in your later 30s, early 30s, and some of them did. So you just got to watch it with that. All right, so what we're going to do now is she's just going to do one set. This is kind of like her, I call it the connection set. It's like a connection challenge set, around 10 to 12 reps. We're going to get her ready to train to failure. Okay, this is her set before we train to failure. So we're just going to get a nice warm up. Go ahead. Right there. Keep the quads engaged up. 1, good. 2, explode. Yeah. 3, good. 4, feel the quads at the bottom. Yep, that's it. See how she has that little pause, but she's only putting maybe 50% of her weight on the box. And then but she's keeping the quads engaged. So we're just going to give her a little bit of a challenge, not too much. Okay, she's training probably around 65%, 60%. What do you, is that?
10.
10. Now, do you see, she could have probably done 15 of those if we had to. She could probably done 2 more, but we don't want to get her too fatigued because now we're going to train this next set to failure. All right? Generally we do, I'm going to give her like a 2-3 minute rest break, but generally we only do 2 sets per muscle group. So she would do this, RDL, another hamstring exercise, another quad exercise, and leg extensions at the end. Now, are you going to, is she going to get muscle bound? Does she look, do her legs turn to the side? Do her legs look absolutely crazy muscle bound? No, you're not going to get, if you're female, you're not taking performance enhancement drugs, you're just going to get a nice tone from this, even if you're training to failure. So nothing to worry about. For me, it's a little bit easier for me to gain mass. I'm going to eat a lot more protein. I'm going to train, more sets and more volume than her. But this is a great challenge. So we're going to rest a little bit and then we're going to go from there. Now we're going to go to failure. Now, just so you know, she started this, she was only able to do 7 or 8 reps. We want to try to find a weight that you can do 8 reps of at the beginning of a cycle. She's now about 6 weeks in. Okay, she's taking a rest week. On her 5th week, she's taking a rest week. Now we're coming back. And we're going to see if she's going to up her weight. How do we know to up the weight? If she gets 12 reps of this, then next time she comes in, I'm going to up her weight probably by 10 to 15 pounds. So this is, what is this? 45, 55, 65, 75 pounds. Okay, so if she gets 12 of this, then next week when she comes in, we're probably going to up this to 85 or 95 pounds. And she's going to start back over with the weight she's trying to get for 8 reps. On her second set, the first set, we're going to do 10, 15 pounds less, 10 to 12 reps, connect. And then the next set, we're going to go up 10 pounds above that like she's doing here. So we started with 65 for the first set. Now we're doing 75. Let's see if she can get 12. And then she's going up to weight next week. Let's go. So we're going to absolute failure. Good. And up. 1, good. Feel the quads at the bottom. And up. 2. I want that control. Come on. Up. 3. Come on, let's see. She's on camera. Let's see if she can get 12. I think she can. Good. Come on. 5. Pause at the bottom. 6. Come on. 7. Come on. 8. Come on. 9. Come on. Control the bottom. 10. Come on. Then she get 12. Control the bottom. 1 more. And up. Good. She got it. So is it good to have a spot when you do this? You can have a spot. I mean, you've never had, that's the first time I've ever spotted you, right? So, I mean, as long as you, and we don't even have safeties here. You can put safeties on, but you don't have to, like, when you're training to failure, you're going to learn what's too much. It's actually, sometimes it's safer not to have a spot because then you don't overdo it and go too hard. So you could stay just shy. But that was almost, she probably could have got 1 more in there. So next week, we're going to go, I'm going to have her hit up, we'll go probably 90 pounds, I think. This was 80, we'll probably go 90. So I think that'll be 80, I'd say 85 to 90 pounds. So we'll see how that goes. But that's a good training set for that for sure.